The Championship is back, and this is going to be a huge season for Michael Carrick and the Boro. Promotion? Quite possibly. Welcome to Terrace Talk. This is where the Boro walk. Yeah, welcome to Terrace Talk. This is where the Boro walk, and we have managed to grab not one but two massive Boro fans and, of course, social media kings in relation to everything they tweet and comment about the mighty Boro to share this journey towards promotion this season. Welcome, Sean. How are you? Excited for this season?
Very much so. I think most Boro fans would agree it's a huge season for us, so very excited.
Charlie, do you share Sean's optimism?
I do, yeah. I'm very optimistic about this season. I think we've been in good stead the past few seasons, ready, pushing on now for hopefully a memorable season.
It'll come as no surprise that when you've read the pundits' picks, that you'll see Leeds and Burnley in the top two. But I think it's rarely have I seen a playoff quartet without Boro's name in it. It seems that everyone is now saying no, Carrick is going to do it this season. Of course, Sean nearly managed it last season. So, is that okay with you? Are you happy that the commentators are putting you up there? Would you prefer to be the underdogs?
I mean, it's obviously nice to go under the radar, but I think in this instance, it doesn't matter because from within, I think from the Boro fans to Carrick to the whole club itself, I think they really believe, no one's hiding from it when the question is asked. It's very much that promotion is the goal. And I think given that we lost, well, no, we didn't lose, but we didn't get a win in the first 7 games because we had a high turnover of players last season. The fact that we narrowly still missed out only just on the playoffs shows what a good job Carrick has done. I think, we got rid of Akpom, Matty Crooks, Morgan Rogers. So we're financially stable and we brought in some young players who I think will be better for having a season in the Championship, and a few other players that have come from other European leagues and now are sort of bedded in as well.
We're going to get into players over the next weeks or so. So next week we'll focus on defenders and goalkeepers. So without going into some, but I do want to pick on some contracts, if that's all right, and ask for your opinions on them. First of all, Charlie, I suppose the most important one was Carrick himself signing a new 3-year deal, takes him up to 2027, I believe. I mean,
yeah.
I suppose that does mean if people come in for him now, they're going to have to pay a huge whack. How important was that? And it's a silly question.
I mean, for me, this season, I think our biggest business in the transfer window is being keeping hold of the core, like the manager, the certain players. Like we managed to tie down a lot of players to long-term contracts now, which for me was always the key going into this summer. Players were going to be running out of contract, and obviously we don't want to get nothing for them. So I'm happy about that. And yeah, the signings we brought in as well, I think they'll all be capable. I think very decent signings, and yeah, just looking forward to the season now.
You say that, but I'm going to throw Paddy McNair into that conversation. 220 odd appearances for the Boro, yet no new deal.
I think with Paddy, I think sometimes things come to an end, and that as much as I think Paddy McNair has been a great servant for Boro, he can play all over the park. He can do any position you want him to do. I just think now is maybe the time that we start looking at, if you look at the signings, we're bringing young in, and the people to leave are the ones who we're getting on a little bit now. So maybe he's looking at that aspect and they want to build for the future, which is what everyone is doing now. So I'm just glad we're following trend, and hopefully, like I say, it can pay off for us.
Sean, thanks for that, Charlie. Sean, just one word on the captain as well. And Charlie's mentioned quite rightly there about key players, new contracts. I suppose none bigger than Howson himself. Boro fans, I'm sure, were delighted to read of his new contract. What does he give you?
Absolutely, and quite rightly, had his contract renewed. Is a model professional, and it's not only what some of these guys like Howson and Ayling do on the pitch. It's how they bring those young players through off the pitch. It's how they model their behaviour around the training ground. It's how they carry themselves, look after their body. I mean, Howson, I'm sure Charlie will tell you as well, a lot of games he gives us such energy and buzz for someone, dare I say, of his age and at his point in his career. And just coming back to what Charlie was saying as well about McNair, to be quite blunt about it, we've heavily stacked in that centre-back position. And I think McNair was on quite a big contract from a few years ago. And he'd struggle. He's a very versatile player, but he'd struggle to get in against the likes of Dale Fry, Matty Clark. Vandenberg is probably our best centre-back at the moment. Darragh Lenihan, who was captain at Blackburn. So there's a lot of competition, and he was on quite a decent salary. But just going back to the point, it's finding that balance and know-how in the Championship, and I think players like Howson definitely bring that.
Okay, we'll get into this a bit more details. We'll talk about the potential new signing from Manchester City as well. We believe in the offing. We'll probably catch more about that next week. But you've got the visit of the Swans to deal with first. So we're going to bring in our Swansea fan and focus on the first fixture at the Riverside of the new Championship season. Welcome to the Boro Walk. Swansea James, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Mark. You?
Yeah, you looking forward to this one?
Actually, I'm actually looking forward to the opening game of the season for a change. So yeah, should be a good contest this weekend.
I've got to be just straight out with the facts there. But when last time Swansea went to Boro, I think it was a dead rubber game, wasn't it, in April? It was the fourth lowest away attendance of the whole fixture calendar. I think you arrived on a skateboard. Please tell me you're bringing more fans this Saturday.
I'd like to hope so. We usually do travel quite well in the first game of the season. I think that game last year came straight after the South Wales derby, so we were kind of coming off that massive high. And oh god, the less said about that game, the better. If I'm being really honest, we did not show up at all. We might as well have just give them the 3 points. If I'm being honest.
Okay, tell the Boro fans in a nutshell how Swansea have looked pre-season. You seem to be a bit threadbare.
At first it was quite concerning when we were in Austria. We played FC Köln, and we played a team from North Macedonia, and we looked shocking, if I'm being honest with you. And like you said, the squad was completely threadbare. Since then, we've just signed Zambi Potnik now. We've got a lad on trial that's called Ruben Providence as well. So our squad is slowly coming together, and Williams is building what he wants. We put Rio Ave to the sword on Saturday, a team which I believe had the third highest wins in the Portuguese league, and we brushed them aside quite easily. So it was quite interesting compared to the rest of the games we saw, where we were quite poor in pre-season.
When the fixtures were announced, Charlie, were you happy to get Swansea first at home? Nice, easy 3 points?
No game's easy, as everyone knows, in the Championship. Obviously, it'll be tough getting them when they're at the Riverside, but I look, at the end of the day, Boro are notorious for starting terrible at the beginning of seasons. Hopefully this year is the year we change that around and we get off to a flying start.
James, where do you put Boro when you asked to rank who's going up, and what league positions do you put them in your top six? Yeah,
I'd say straight away the last few seasons, they've been quite impressive, and they're one of the ones I'd automatically put in that top six bracket. I'd even go as far to say maybe even second or third, because I think the fact they've kept hold of Carrick, and looking across their squad, they've got one of probably the best squads in the league as well. So they'd be my pick to be in and around the playoff spots.
Okay, let's get some score predictions from you then. Sean, you can take the Boro prediction this week.
I'm going to go for a fairly nervy but a victory nonetheless. I'm going to go 2-1.
Okay. James?
I'm going to go for a draw, 1-1.
All right, Spence Sitter. All right, cheers, James. Thank you very much. Good luck for the season. We'll see you back on here when it's the return fixture at your stadium in March. And time to review some kits for you too. Cheers, James.
Thank you.
Okay, each week we're going to ask you to rate some of the views on Twitter from a variety of different people and some matches and players, and you can get involved with this by putting #RateMyTake at the end of your tweets for our Boro fans to rate. This week we have got some responses to the shirts. I'll give my opinions in a second. We've already tweeted about it, but Sean, what's your thoughts on the home shirt first of all?
Yeah, I like it. It's classic. It's always difficult, I think, for a club to come up with a variation on. We're sort of now known, or have been known, at our most famous, if you like, for the white band. So that there's always they're always trying to incorporate that in some way, and I quite like. I think it's an improvement on last season. I think it's very classic, simple, not too overcomplicated. We had quite a lot of lines going on, white lines last season. So yeah, it's a hit for me.
Yeah, are you a collar or no collar guy?
Well, I do like a collar, to be fair, as you can tell, but yeah, I'm not unhappy with it.
Okay. Charlie, the tweet you can see there was about the away shirt. It's awful, absolutely hideous. Couldn't wear an Argentina wannabe shirt. What are your thoughts on it?
See, I personally like the away. I like the away shirt more than the home shirt. I think the away shirts, it looks quite slick. It looks nice. The only thing I'd change about our kits is, and I've said it for years now, is I think they need a centre badge. They need to get rid of that stupid sponsor in the middle. Other than that, I think our kits have been all fairly decent.
Yeah, that stupid sponsor that pays last wages. Don't forget. Yeah. That away shirt, I think it's the nicest of all the away shirts. Maybe Blackburn's could shout out. But what about the third one?
I think the third one's the best one. I really do. I think it's the best one out of a lot of them, to be honest. If I'm going to buy one, I'm probably going to end up buying that one. So that's probably my favourite.
It's supposed to represent the river, and yeah. Come on. All right. Cheers, fellas. Quick ones for you then, Sean. Where will Boro finish this season?
I'd love us to be in automatics. I would, as long as we do well, I'd settle for playoffs. I think playoffs minimum, but I'd love us to make a real push for automatics.
Okay. Charlie?
Yeah, I second that. I think with the squad we've got, and they've all been together now for a lot of years, I think that Boro should be pushing for promotion this season. There's no questions about it, and I think Boro could get top 6, if not push that top 2, ready to go in the Premier League next season.
As an Everton fan, as a neutral, I've got a lot of time for Boro. I've spent many a long trip up to the Riverside, often coming back with no points. It's a dismal place in January. It's a
bit rough asking Swansea to come up for 12:30, isn't it?
We'll talk about crazy kickoff times a bit more next week. I also want to get your views on the Huddersfield fans who say that are laughing their head off at you signing Bergzorg because he is notorious for being selfish, and actually Huddersfield would still be in the league now had he have squared a couple of passes. But we'll get into all of that and get your views on that in next week's episode. Thank you very much for joining us. We will catch you the other side of the Swansea game. Enjoy, behave yourselves, and we'll see you next week. Cheers. Thank you for watching. Put a comment below. We'll see where will Boro finish this week. Cheers.